hopefully it's not terribly distracting, because I don't really know what to do about it at this point. It does it on the desktop, it does it on the laptop, whatever. Anyway, hopefully you're just listening and not looking at my crazy self, okay? Alright, I have a solved case for you guys tonight, and it happened around Christmas. And since this is probably my last video before Christmas, I thought I would film it for you today. This is the case of Christy Mirack. Christy Ann Mirack was a native of the town of Sheboygan in Northumberland County, Pennsylvania. She was the daughter of Vincent and Geraldine, who went by Jerry. She was born November 3rd, 1967. In addition to her parents, she also had siblings, and she was particularly close to her brother, Vince. As a child, energetic and enthusiastic, Christy always aspired to become a teacher, and she put their play chalkboard to use while pretending to be one and playing with her siblings. And unlike most children, that dream stayed with her, and in order to achieve it, she enrolled at Millersville University in Lancaster and graduated with a degree in elementary education and teaching students. Christy was described as a free-spirited individual, and she stayed determined to achieve her goal. And her hard work resulted in her securing a job as a teacher at Roarstown Elementary School in Lancaster. At 25, Christy was thriving in her personal life and her professional life. She landed a full-time job as a 6th grade teacher. After being a substitute for a little bit, they got her a position because she was just so good at what she did. She was adored by everyone who knew her. They loved her smile and her warm-hearted personality. And she was passionate about her profession, and she looked forward to educating and inspiring her students every single day. Her world revolved around her family, her friends, and her students. So that brings us to the 21st of December, 1992. It was a Monday, 4 days before Christmas, and Christy was really excited. She had gotten presents for all of her students, and she couldn't wait to go to work that day. She treated her class with respect, and she had a special plan for them. She had all of their gifts wrapped and ready to hand out to them. So when she didn't arrive at school that day, everyone was worried. Christy lived in Greenfield Estates apartments with a roommate. She had not lived there for very long, but she was described as an early riser. So she got up most days at 6 a.m. to make breakfast and watch the news. Normally, her roommate would leave for work every morning at 7, and Christy would leave at 7:45. When Christy did not show up that was like in disarray, and it looked as though a struggle had taken place. This man went inside the house, which you're very brave. I get, again, maybe I was thinking, why didn't he just call the police? But he didn't have a cell phone, duh. So he kind of walked into the living room, and he noticed that the presents that Christy had so carefully wrapped were all over the floor of the living room, and Christy herself was in the middle of it. Harry ran to the apartment next door to seek help, and he called 911, and he is extremely distraught, and he's screaming into the 911 call about her face. He told the police what he saw, but he has not ever talked about exactly what he saw ever again. He had nightmares about it, and it was just terrible for him, and I can only imagine. Christy was unrecognizable. It was a brutal attack. When the police arrived, they found Christy on the floor of the living room, and she was already deceased. She was wearing her coat and her gloves, but some of her clothing had been removed and pushed up. She had been assaulted, and police believed that a wooden cutting board found near her was the item used to attack her. Christy's autopsy revealed injuries to her neck, her back, her face, and her chest. Most of the injuries were to her face and her neck. Her jaw had been broken, and police believe that she may have used the wooden cutting board in an attempt to protect herself, but the perpetrator overpowered her and took it from her and used it against her. After she was assaulted and beaten, she had been strangled with her own sweater. A DNA profile was obtained from semen found inside the house. DNA was found on her body and in blood drops on the carpet inside her apartment. As I said, though, there was no signs of forced entry, so police believed that either she was expecting someone or that someone forced their way in as she opened the door to leave. She was wearing her coat, she was wearing her gloves, and she had the gifts inside the bag, so police kind of leaned toward that. So they estimated that she was attacked after the roommate left at 7 and before 7:45. So as I said, police found DNA inside of the apartment, but when they entered it into the database, there was no match. Now, DNA was not as advanced, or technology was not as advanced in 1992 as it is now, so police had to dig into other ways to solve this case. Unfortunately, there were not a lot of leads to look at. When the investigation was launched, police really started to dive into Christy's personal life. They learned that she had been seeing a man that was 20 years older than her who went by the name Dagger. A lot of her friends did not approve of this relationship, but she continued to date him. However, just a couple of days before she passed away, she had kind of told her friends that they might be separating. So at this point, Dagger becomes a suspect on the list. He had visited her school to find out her whereabouts too, so this kind of made police believe that he was trying to place himself so that he wasn't a suspect, if you know what I mean. But he had an airtight alibi because he was in another state at the time of Christy's murder. During the investigation, the police also suspected the principal, and she said that he was wearing a blue, white, and black faded shirt and blue jeans. Now, bless this woman, because I would not have remembered any of that. I mean, how long did it go before they questioned her? I wouldn't remember something that happened far back. Others saw the car across the street from the apartment, and they described it as a white vehicle with something black covering the back window. But despite a search for the car and the man, Christy's case went cold, and there was no further leads or evidence until 2015, when the Lancaster County Police Department District Attorney Greg Stedman opened the case in an effort to re-examine the DNA based on further advances in technology. He said, "I think it was the appropriate time to get some fresh eyes on this case. We took Christy's entire file and the evidence, and we started again from the ground up. That fresh look led to C.C. Moore, a genealogist who has solved multiple cold cases, such as the Golden State Killer, with new genealogical technology, helping with the new investigation. Along with Parabon Nanolabs, she uploaded the DNA that was found on Christy and inside her apartment into a database called GED Match. Now, this website is a website that connects family members through DNA. Family members who want to research their family tree connect with relatives that they never knew they had, and they voluntarily upload their DNA. CC found several distant family members connected to the DNA found at Christy's apartment, and she began to build out the family tree. She said, "I built back to the great-grandparents of each of the second cousins, and then I started building forward. I flipped that tree upside down to do what I call reverse genealogy. I'm building forward in time, trying to find the right person and the right place with the right ancestral mix to be the subject." CC then narrowed her search down to a target family in Lancaster who were of Northern European descent with some Puerto Rican heritage. She looked up newspaper articles from the Lancaster area to see if there was any mention of the family members from the target family. She started to dig in the archives, and she comes across an engagement announcement for a man who was the son of a woman from that target family, and he was carrying her maiden name. It listed his father, who had a Latin American name, and I thought, aha, now we're getting close. CC kept searching through magazine and newspaper archives and found an online magazine that had an interview with the man. The man said that he was half Puerto Rican, and CC believed she had found Christy's killer. But while the research and work led to a man being found, police needed his DNA to ensure all certainty that he was a match. So they start to follow this guy, and on one occasion he played a DJ gig at a school. Afterward, they collected a water bottle and some gum that he threw away, and they obtained his DNA from those. So watch what you're leaving around, people, because you never know if the police are following you. Just saying. The DNA was a match. The man was 49-year-old Raymond Charles Rowe, and he was arrested in June of 2018. Raymond had lived in Lancaster for many years, and he was well known in the area. He was even described as a bit of a celebrity of sorts because he worked a DJ at basically all of the weddings and big events in the area. He was married, a father, had a successful career, and went to church office near her apartment at the time of the murder, and he lived just 4 miles from her home. The Toyota that he drove at the time of Christy's attack matched the description of one that witnesses saw at the apartment complex. So, no evidence emerged that they knew each other, but he would have had to drive past her apartment every day from his house to his office. So he probably saw her multiple times. Christy was known to sunbathe with her roommate, and they would sit facing the street. Anyone that drove by could have seen her. Also, skin cancer, don't do that. Raymond worked as a DJ at the time, like I mentioned, and police found a ticket to the Chameleon Club in Christy's possession after she was murdered. Raymond would DJ at that club every Friday, so they could have met at the club the Friday night before, or he could have observed her there. So based on the DNA evidence, he was charged. Raymond's attorney, Patricia Spots, said that Raymond admitted that he had killed Christy. And she said, "There's nothing we can say to make the community feel better about this case. We can only hope that the community and Christy's family find some comfort in the person who did it, taking responsibility for his actions." No, we don't find comfort in that. It's been like 20 years, and he had a family, and he's married, and he got to live, and she didn't. Raymond agreed to plead guilty in exchange for the prosecutors not seeking the death penalty. Now, prosecutors believe that the death penalty was warranted in this case, but their main focus was to ensure that he would never leave prison alive. And this was accomplished with his sentence of life in prison. Prosecutors declined to cite a motive, citing the amount of time that had passed, which I think is ridiculous. The district attorney, Greg Stedman, described Christy's murder as an absolute remorseless horror committed by a deviant and a coward. He told the court that it was pretty clear from the scene that Christy was surprised and that she fought for her life. But unfortunately, she failed. And the court heard that after the murder of Christy Mirack, Raymond just went back to his life as like nothing happened. On the same day, the 21st of December, he went to the house of his fiancée, Monika, and seemed like his normal self. Monika had no idea of what had just unfolded with her fiancé. When the news of Christy's murder broke, he even told her that he was worried about her safety. Monika told Dateline, you just don't know what to think. I mean, he slept in my bed that night. We had Christmas 4 days later. We got married just months later. Raymond continued working as a DJ. He was known as DJ Freeze. He DJ'd for such celebrities like Paris Hilton and Brooke Hogan. He DJ'd at events featuring Sting and the Eagles. He lived a successful, happy life. He did get married 4 times, so some disagreements. Nobody ever suspected this man of being involved in Christy's murder. He pled guilty to first-degree murder, assault, and related counts in exchange for life in prison without the possibility of parole. And he got a consecutive sentence of 60 to 120 years. During the sentencing, Christy's brother Vince spoke directly to Raymond, and he asked him, "If not for the grace of modern technology and divine intervention, you So he was trying to get his sentence appealed after taking the plea deal, and he testified at a 2021 hearing in August that he and Christy had what he described as a secret relationship. He said that on the day she was killed, they had gotten together consensually, and she was alive when he left the townhouse, meaning someone else had killed her. However, the court denied his appeal and upheld his conviction. Currently, Raymond Rowe is being held at the State Correctional Institution, Waymart, as he serves his long-term sentence. So this is one of those cases that absolutely drives me bonkers, because he won't tell the family anything. And I feel like, okay, you've already been caught. The DNA is already a match. We already know that you did this. I don't care what things you want tested at the scene, or if you're gonna say somebody else killed her after you left. We all know that that's crap, okay? Why could you not just tell the family that you did this? Why not? I mean, don't give them the horrific details of what happened, although I guess you could, but why not tell them that she fought valiantly, or, you know, this was a crime of opportunity, you were just driving by, or you had been driving by and you saw her and you thought she was beautiful and you stopped, or you made a move and she said no, or whatever. Tell them something, because as much as the case is solved, it is not solved for her family. They want to know why you attacked their child, their sister, their friend. And I really have to think that this man saw her leaving her house so many times that he took it as a crime of opportunity. Now, why he did it on that day, I can't see that down